Before the NBA season started, I did a video where I declared that Zion Williamson is
ripped and scaring everyone.
Pretty great title, huh? And as you'd expect, a lot of the comments were from the usual keyboard heroes saying how Zion was lazy or a bust or just going to be injured again. Well, in a season where Zion is averaging 23 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, all with a PER of 23. Not to mention, he's leading the New Orleans Pelicans into the playoffs. Just let me ask, how does that crow taste? But seriously, no one could blame you for being a little suspect of Zion leading into the season. I mean, given his injury history and his oftentimes lackadaisical play. But things are different now. The switch has flipped for Zion Latif Williamson, and I'm talking all about it in today's video. Real quick though, welcome to the channel. This is the Half Court Report. My name is Troy. Please do me a solid and like this video, and hey, while you're here, subscribe to the channel for some of the hottest NBA content that you are going to find on YouTube. So I was reading an article from Gary Nathan over at defector.com, and I want to talk about that piece and also offer some of my own thoughts as well. Because in the month of March, Williamson averaged 24.1 points on 62% shooting, along with 7.1 rebounds and nearly 5 assists per game. What's great is that he has recovered the point guard Zion responsibilities that he's shown at various points in his Pelicans tenure, and he is handling that beautifully by initiating half-court offense as CJ McCollum ages into an off-ball shooter. And unsurprisingly, Williamson's individual success fuels the team as a whole, because the Pelicans went 10-4 in March, and that was in large part because they whooped the teams they should have beaten. For instance, Zion dropped 36 points on nearly perfect 13 of 14 shooting against the Detroit Pistons, and there were more statement victories too, like a March win over the Clippers. So the Pelicans are once again in the thick of another Western Conference playoff hunt, and barring anything unexpected, Williamson should be playing in his first ever postseason game. And that is just crazy to say that he's never played in the playoffs, but it is true. Add to that the apparent conditioning issues that had the critics so chatty earlier in the season seem to be gone for Zion. The dunks are once again resembling something you would see in a movie, and Williamson is even playing lockdown perimeter defense on players like Kawhi Leonard when needed. So for all the tantalizing potential that Zion had as a team defender in college, that's when you'd see him jumping passing lanes and just careening out to the corner to block threes. A lot of that has been absent since joining the NBA. So if he can develop that consistently, or at least become a league average defender at that 4 spot, that would be a game changer for him and for his team. In fact, The Athletic did a whole piece on just that. Writer Mo Dakhil said that it's hard to recall a season where a player has made such a defensive transformation as Zion has this year. Since he was drafted in 2019, he's been a defensive liability for the Pelicans and only shown flashes of good defensive instincts. We just hadn't seen the blocks or defensive commitment that he showed when he was at Duke. But despite Williamson's poor effort to start the season, the Pelicans were still a top 10 defensive team in terms of defensive rating. Then something changed for Zion. After the All-Star break, he was showing the effort on that side of the ball. He went from making one defensive play to multiple ones on the same possession. And the numbers show it. After the All-Star break, the Pelicans' defensive rating improved to almost 107 with him on the floor. And as impressive as those numbers have been, it is worth noting who Williamson is guarding. He matches up against the opponent's top option and holds his own. Say what you will about all this, Zion is clearly trending in the right direction, and perhaps the most reassuring physical indicator of all this, Williamson's 64 games played this season, and that is the most for a season in his NBA career. For reference, he appeared in 29 games over the previous 2 years combined. The Athletic also reported that Zion's future years of salary were not guaranteed because of his prolonged absences, so he has millions of dollars of future salary hinging on his conditioning standards, staying healthy, and his games played. The Pelicans remain a deeply strange team, though. There are a lot of individually talented players, but also a lot of clunky redundancy and a lot of question marks on this team. So it will be interesting to see how it all plays out once the season comes to a close and as they enter what looks to be a playoff matchup with one of the top seeds. But when you look at this roster, Zion's nonstop assault on the rim would be ideal alongside a floor-spacing center and a complementary off-ball star, but instead, he's got Jonas Valanciunas in the paint, as well as the ball-dominant Brandon Ingram to share the ball with. And New Orleans, they do get a lot of utility out of its young wings like Herb Jones and Trey Murphy III, and I think their coach is pretty good too, so despite the weirdness in roster construction, it does all work. But they do have a very hard schedule to close out the season. Brandon Ingram might not even be back before the playoffs. And since Zion was drafted a few years ago, it has always been true that the fate of the Pelicans rests on his shoulders. So, will he be able to rise to the occasion this time around? We will have to see, but I want you to tell me what you think in the comments. And since you've watched this far, make sure you drop a like for the YouTube algorithm and hit that subscribe button too so you never miss another NBA video from me. So yeah, I think Zion does need some help, and maybe they can find that in the upcoming draft. There are lots of solid players to choose from. I've been breaking them all down on this channel, and I even did a mock draft video where I drafted the entire first round. You gotta check that out. Let me know what you think of this Pelicans pick. Let me know what you think of all the picks, and I will catch you next time on the Half Court Report. Have a great day.